What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have another Roblox tutorial, and we're going to be showing you how to make something that's going to make your Roblox game just more enjoyable, more engaging for your player. And it's pretty simple to make. So we're going to show you how to make a simple and fun delivery system that when a player picks up a box, they'll be given a GUI that will show them where they need to deliver it and how much money they're going to make when they do complete that delivery. The best part about it is each player can only have one box at a time. Each payment is unique per that delivery, and not only that, you're going to learn how to set up a payment system for players, which is a valuable skill when you go to code your own game, guys. So if you're excited as I am about this, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you have any suggestions, leave a comment. But let's open our studios and let's get to coding. Alright guys, so now that we're in studio, we can go ahead and start to do a few things. So we want to get this delivery system set up nice and good, and what I'm thinking is we're probably going to start off with creating a tool that will give the player a GUI that also contains a few values that we're going to be able to pull like the values from. So we want to go ahead and in this GUI, or in this tool, we want to rename it to box. And so for now, that's all we're going to do is just have this tool in box, because we want to go ahead and make a part that is going to give us this box. Okay, and we're going to call this part give box, and we're just going to have it in the workspace wherever we want it. And we're going to put a script and a proximity prompt inside of this part. And so the purpose of this part is going to be to give us the box, and that's going to be pretty simple. I'm also real quick going to just create a folder in the workspace and name it delivery, because this is where our delivery destinations are going to go. So here's what I'm thinking for the give. The first thing that I'm going to do, I think, is we're going to set up our parameters, and we're going to have one parameter inside of this script, and that is going to be for the actual proximity prompt. And so we're just going to say local prompt or prox is equal to script.parent, and then that's that for the giver. And so the next thing that we're going to want to do is set up, we're going to go ahead and set up server storage as well, because we're going to want to pull the box from the server storage. So we're going to say local function, and we're going to say give box, and in this function we're going to do a few things. Now we want to get the player's character, and we also want to get the player's backpack. So in the parentheses, make sure you have player, and we're going to say local box is equal to server storage.box. And so we want to check to see if the box is in the player's is going to be in the player's backpack, or if it's going to be in the player's character, or which is in the workspace. So a player can only have one tool equipped at a time. So when that tool is equipped, it's not in the player's backpack, it's actually in the player's character. And so we're going to make a parameter called backpack and a parameter called in hand, and in hand we're just going to say is equal to player.character. Okay, and so the next thing we want to do is check to see if the box tool is in the player's backpack or if it's in the player's hand. And if it is, then we want to say in the output we're going to print a statement called and we're just going to call it, okay, player already has a box, right? And so the reason we want to do this is because we don't want a player to be able to have more than one box at a time. And this is just a little check to ensure that a player can't have 20 boxes and then go to 20 different delivery locations. So we're going to put an else statement here, and if the player does not have a box, then what we want to do is give them a box. So we're going to say local new box is equal to box clone, right? And then we're going to say local price is equal to math dot random, and in this price we're going to put 400 or 1,000. So what this is going to do is generate a local number in between 400 and 1,000, and this is what's going to be the number that will pay the player. And the next value we're going to do is the to value, and we're going to do math.random is between 1 and 6. And so these are going to be our destinations. We're going to have 6 destinations, and we're going to name them 1 through 6. And so when the box is given, it's going to give them a random like a random price and a random location to go to. And then we want to set those random values that we just created to the values of the tool. So we haven't put them in the tool yet, but the new box.price.value will equal price, and new box.toValue.value will equal toValue, and then new box.parent will equal player.backpack. And so we haven't put the values in there, so when we go to test this, it will throw an error, but we will add the values to the tool. So once we have that, all we have to do is actually set up this proximity prompt to trigger and then fire this server event. I'm sorry, not fire a server event. We want it to open. We want the proximity prompt to trigger and open, or give them the box. So right now it's not working, and the reason it's not working is because we didn't actually attach it to the function. Sorry, I was thinking I added a handle to the box in the server storage, but the way that we're going to fix this is we're going to say box.triggered is equal to connect, and then we're in that parentheses we're going to say give box. And so what that'll do is actually connect this proximity prompt to the function that we wrote, so everything should work. So now when we go to do it, we're getting a error, and it says price is not a valid member of box. So we're going to go to the server storage, and we're going to go to our box. Now I've already added a handle, but you can add a handle as well. I just went to toolbox and searched tool handle and clicked the first one. So we're going to want to create an int value, and we're going to want to name it price, and then we're going to want to create a separate value, and it's going to be a string value, and we're going to name it to value. And so the to value is going to be where the destination is, and the price value is going to be how much the player is going to receive when he actually delivers it. So we can go and test this now, and it should actually give us the box, and let's see. Boom. So we got the box now, and it doesn't give us a GUI or anything because we haven't coded it yet, but giving us the box is the first step. And so now what we're going to do is go into our box, and we're going to create a local script. And in this local script, we're going to do a lot of things. Okay, so we want to create a GUI that's going to display where the player has to deliver the box and how much he is getting paid to deliver it. So the first parameter I'm going to set up is player, and it's going to be local player is equal to game.players.local player. And then the next thing that I'm going to want to do is actually set up a parameter for our tool. And so our tool is script.parent. Once I do that, we're going to set up a local function, and we're going to start creating our GUI. So inside this local function, we're going to call it create GUI. We're going to do local GUI is equal to instance.new, and then we're going to say screen GUI, and then we're going to name our GUI to delivery GUI. And so this is so that we can go in with a script and find it and delete it later on. So the next thing that we want to do is create a frame. So I'm going to say local frame is equal to instance.new frame, and then we want to size it. And so I have my sizes already preset and determined, so I'm just going to paste them. But the easiest way to do it is just do the frames.size is equal to udem2.new, put your parentheses, and then put these numbers in 0, 300, 0, and 70. And then we want to put the position in the middle of the screen. So we're going to say frame.position is equal to udim2.new, and then we're going to do 0.5, -50, 0.5, and -35 for those values. And so once we have that, we can actually stylize our frame. We're going to keep it simple. We're just going to make the background color black and the background transparency 0.5. And the way we do that is frame.background background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot from RGB, and we can do 000 for black. And then we can go and set our transparency to 0.5 by saying frame.transparency is equal to 0.5. And once we have that, we're done setting up our frame. We can set the frame's parent to the GUI. And the way we do that is super simple. We just say frame.parent is equal to GUI. So once we have that, we can move on to our text label. And I'm just going to call it name label because that's what I've been doing. And so we're going to do local name label is equal to instance.new, parentheses, quotations, text label. And then we're going to size it. So the size for this is pretty simple. We're just going to do name label.size is equal to udim2.new 1010. And so those are the codes for that one. Now we want to actually change the background transparency to 1 because we don't want to see it at all. And then we want to change the text to the text wrap to true. The reason we want to do this is because we want, no matter how long the player's username is or whatever you decide to make the pricing, we want it all to fit in this frame. So we're going to set that to true. And so then the next thing we're going to do is set the text color to white. So we're going to do name label.textcolor3 is equal to color3.new, and then 255, 255, 255 for white. And then we're going to change the font to luckiest guy. So we're going to do name label.text is equal to, or name label.font is equal to enum.font.luckiest guy. And then we're going to change the text size to 20. And the way we do that is name label.text size is equal to 20. Don't use font size because font size will throw an error and you'll have to use emu. Text size is the easiest way to do it. So now up here in the top, I'm going to add some parameters because when we actually get to the text of the name label, we want to have these values displayed to the player. Now, since we already have our tool parameters set up, we can find those values from the tool. So all we want to do is say name label.text is equal to deliver to, and then to value dot value. And then we want to go to, we want to put like a dash there and make sure we have the dot value. Make sure we have our dash, some dots, and then we want to say 4, and then we're going to put our price after this. So I'm going to say dot and then put price dot value. And so once we have that, it should display the value and the price for what we needed to. Now this is where we can set the frame to we can set the parent to frame. Now I didn't set the text size here. I did that later on after we fix the error and come back and test it. But the text size is very important for all of it to fit because otherwise it's going to be really small and it's not going to look that great, but it's alright. So the next thing we want to do is set the GUI's parent to the player's GUI. And so the way we do that is GUI.parent is equal to player.player GUI. And then once we do that, we can pretty much move on to testing it. We also want to set up some other things as well inside of the delivery parts, so we're gonna get to making that. So I'm just gonna duplicate our give box part, and then I'm gonna resize it a little bit, and I'm gonna rename it to 1, and then I'm gonna put it inside of the delivery now, or the delivery folder that we made. So the next thing I want to do is set up a billboard GUI, and I just want to put a text label inside of there, and we'll keep it super simple. So what you want to do is come down and go to the offset, and then you want to set it to like 2 or 3, something that's not extremely high, and you want the player to be able to see it. I think 2 is a good size, and so then we can stylize this a little bit. We're just gonna make the text like red, and then we're gonna make it say deliver here. We're gonna change the font to luckiest guy as well, and then we're gonna set the background transparency to 1 on this, so all you'll see is the text. And so we're gonna just set text to scaled here as well, because it kind of just needs to sit as big as the frame. And then we're gonna set this to luckiest guy, like I said, and then we're gonna set the background transparency to 1. So once we have that, we can actually go ahead and begin coding our delivery points if we want. I think we're gonna see, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and code. I'm gonna show you how to make the deliver here sign pop up whenever the player has the box in his hand. So we're gonna say game.workspace.delivery find first child, and then we're gonna say toValue.value. So this is gonna tell us which delivery point that the player has to deliver to, and inside each one of those delivery points we're going to have a billboard GUI. And so we want to make this a local parameter and call it local delivery points, and then we want to set that equal, and then we want to go and say that whenever this is enabled, then we can set it to true. So whenever this function runs, we'll set that billboard GUI to true, and it will show up just for the player because we're doing it in the client. So we're going to make this tool work. So we're going to say tool.equipped connect, and then we're going to say create GUI. Then we're going to say tool.unequipped connect function, and then we want to check to see if the GUI is in the player's player GUI. So we're going to say if player.player GUI find first child, and then we're going to say delivery GUI, and if it's there, it'll be deleted. So we want to say then, and then we want to say we want to take what we already put, we can copy and paste this, and then we can destroy it. So player.player GUI find first child, delivery GUI, destroy. And then under this, we want to make sure that we set our delivery points to false. So this is what's going to tell the player where to go. And so we're going to go ahead and just copy and paste that because it's the same thing. The only difference is we can't use toValue.value in this function. So we have to go to tool and then toValue.value because we didn't set up a separate parameter down here for that. And then we can just say delivery points dot enabled is equal to false, and that will turn off our delivery points whenever the player unequips the tool. And so we can go test this. I can already think of a few errors that it's probably gonna throw because this was pre-recorded. So other than that, I don't really think there's any more that we can set up unless we're gonna go ahead and work on our actual delivery points in the function there. But the way that will work is when the player has the box in their hand, they will be able to find the billboard GUI. So there's one more thing that we do need to set up, and that is if the player has the tool in their hand, when they go to sell it, the game doesn't register it as being unequipped, so we have to set up a separate event to fix that. So we're gonna go ahead and set it up, and we're gonna call it delivery reset. We're gonna say game.replicated storage on client event connect function, and then we're gonna reset the player's client. So everything that we put into the unequipped, we also want to do here as well separately. So make sure you have that, otherwise when the player does go to sell later on, it won't delete. So make sure we have that event set up. It is very, very, very important. So now that we have that done, we can go ahead and begin setting up our delivery points. So these are pretty simple. We just want to go ahead and get the proximity prompt from the part that we're going to be coding. And so once we do that, it is pretty simple. We're going to want to set the prox action text to the actual name of the part. And the reason we want to do that is just kind of to differentiate the proximity prompt for the player so that he can find it. And so now what we want to do is go ahead and set up our local functions, and we're only going to have one, thank God. We're not going to be making a GUI with it, so don't worry. And we're just going to call it prox triggered, and make sure you have the parameter player. So what we want to do here is we want to find the player's backpack, character, and money stats in our parameters, just like we did before. So the first thing we're going to say is backpack is equal to player find first child backpack, and then we're going to say local character is equal to player dot character, I suppose. And then after that, we're going to say local money stats is equal to, whenever we can spell character right, character. And then we want to say local money stats is equal to player stats dot cash. Now we set up our player stats in 2 videos ago, so if you haven't seen that and you don't know how to set up a economy system, go ahead and go watch that video. If you already have your economy system, you can change the money stat value to whatever your economy system uses. We just made ours with player values, or with values inside of a player. So the way we find ours is player.playerstats.cash, just to keep it simple for everybody. So once we have that, what we want to do is we want to check to see if the box is in the backpack first. So the backpack is when the player is not using, like, it doesn't have the tool equipped. If the player does not have the tool equipped, it's stored in his backpack. Okay, and so if it's not stored in his backpack, then it's stored in his character. And only one tool at a time can be in the player's character. So we're going to say local box is equal to find first, or backpack find first child box. And then we're going to say local to value is equal to box dot to value, and then we're going to say local price is equal to box dot price. And so this is going to help us find all of our values for the particular box that the player has. And then once we have that, we want to make sure that the player is actually triggering the correct proximity prompt. So we want to check to see if the to value is equal to the name of the delivery part, because the name of the delivery part is going to be the same as the to value. And so once we have that, we can begin writing our function. So we want to make sure that we write a print statement first and foremost that says that the drop off was successful, so that when we go to test this, we know that it's not just taking our stuff and not working. So we're going to go ahead and put that in real quick, and then we want to go ahead and subtract the money, or add the money. So we're going to say moneystats.value is equal to moneystats.value plus price.value, and then we want to destroy the box, because the player no longer needs the box, and we don't want the player to go and make more money but not sell the box. So we're just going to say box and then put a colon and say destroy. So once we do that, we're done with the well, we're not done. We want to put a few more things up under here. So we're going to write an else statement, and then we're just going to say wrong drop-off location, because if the drop-off value is not set to the same name as the drop-off part, then they're at the wrong spot, and so they need to go to a different spot. And so we're going to write an else if statement up under the if statement that we just wrote, and it's not going to be in the same statement. It's going to be with the bigger statement of if backpack is going to be with that statement. So we're going to say else if character find first child box then. And so if the box is in the player's character, which if the player is holding it, then we're going to set up our parameters and we're going to say local box is equal to character find first child box. And then we're going to set up our to value and price just like we did before. Very simple, exactly the same. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We want to check to see if the to value is equal to the parent or to the delivery part's name, and we're going to say if to value is equal to script.parent.name, then, and make sure you have two equal signs. That's very important. And then this is where we're going to fire our delivery reset for the player, because if the player is holding the box in his hand and the box is destroyed but not unequipped, then the GUI and the delivery marker won't go away for the player. So we want to make sure that we fire this event, and so that the player will have those things removed from his screen, because that's super annoying. And once we have that, we can go ahead and add the price just like we did before. And we'll just say moneystats.value is equal to moneystats.value plus price.value, and then we can print drop off success. And I'm going to add a wait before we destroy the box just to ensure that the replicated storage has been fired, or that our remote event has been fired and the GUI has been removed. And then once we have the wait, we can go ahead and put box is destroyed. And boom. Now we can go ahead and write an else statement and just say, okay, if that didn't work, then the player's drop off location is wrong, and then we'll be done with our if statement for this one. And then up under here for the bigger if statement with the player.character and the player.backpack, we want to put another if statement for if we do not find the player's box. So if the player has no box, they can't deliver. As simple as that. So now we want to go ahead and make it so when this proximity prompt is triggered, the function will run. And the way we do that is prox.triggered, and then we plug in our proximity prompt, or prox.triggered :connect, and then we say in the parentheses prox triggered. So now we can pretty much go ahead and look over our code real quick and make sure everything looks good. And then we're going to go ahead and duplicate these 6 times so that we have enough. Now there are some errors in here, so if you're watching, you might want to wait to duplicate all these until we fix the errors, and you'll see those coming up here shortly. But there's like 2 or 3, I believe, from some information that we forgot to put. But once we get those done, we'll have to change all of those scripts inside that folder. So it's kind of a pain in the ass, so you might as well just wait until you can finish the one and then duplicate all of them after everything is working. So as you can see, I got an error, and it says Caesar Gaviria backpack.box local script attempt to call a string value. So the problem that I was running in with this error was that in our local script, when we display the text to the player for the GUI, right, there is a point where right there it says name label.text, and it says deliver to ... value. Just ignore my screen cursor because I'm trying to debug right now in the recording. But what we found is the name label.text deliver to the to value.value. I forgot to put the dots after the to value.value. Here it is, me fixing it. And so once we fix that, you can see that it even changed color in the script. and it looks identical to the price dot value. And so once we have that, that should fix one error. But there still is another error that we have to fix, and I believe it's from something as simple as the client not deleting the GUI. So watch. So it says argument 1 missing or nil. So something as simple as we forgot to put player inside of our Fire client event. So we're gonna have to go through all of these and make sure that we put that. So I'm gonna fix the text size real quick. So we're gonna say name label dot text size is equal to like 20 or so, maybe 18 to 20. And then once we do that, we should be ready to go. I'm also going to put text scaled set to true so that it'll just automatically scale up. But I think I end up disabling that anyways, so you can just ignore that. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference if you like it. I mean, you see how big it makes it. But there's still some things that we want to do. We have to go through and fix all of these scripts that I forgot to fix before we went testing again. So there's 1, there's 2, so we're going to add player to literally all of these. This is why I was saying wait before you duplicate all of these parts, because we're going to have to go through and fix literally that one thing to make this work. So you can just see my struggles going through here. It's not that much, it's 6, but it still takes up like a good 30 seconds to a minute to go through and make sure that all of these work, and then they go back and test, and then maybe find another error after you fix all of that. So let's see what happens. We'll get it done. Sorry, so all 6 scripts have been fixed. We put the player argument in the in where they fire it. So now what we want to do is get rid of that text scaled, and then we're just going to set the text size to 20. So it's just a lot easier. Alright, so now when we test it, we have our box and it gets rid of it and it pays us. So you can see here $6.24, and then if we look down at our bank, boom, it paid us, I think. So there is another thing that I just want to add real quick. I just want to add like a $sign right here, just so it's more apparent that like, hey, this is how much money you're gonna make, rather than like it just kind of being like on the screen and like a bunch of information without, you know, any punctuation to organize it. So let's test it again. So we're getting 584, boom, and so now we have 359,000, but before we had 358,000. So this one is for 956. So let's watch these numbers go up. Look at that, 369,000. So thank you guys for watching. That concludes our video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. If there's anything you guys haven't seen on Roblox Studio tutorials before, and there's something that you want to be taught how to do, please leave a comment and I will try to do my best to get that information to you. But other than that, guys, that's all I have for you today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a good one. Bye bye.